What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another edition of Prim and Proper Sports. I bet you guys thought I was going to say Weapons Hot Mission Briefs here on Northeast Streaming Sports, but no. Tonight, I am taking over for Miss Sonia. She is taking off to parts unknown, doing her thing. And I tell you, tonight's going to be fun. Tonight's going to be fun. Now, I know you guys are used to a certain format when it comes to Sonya shows, okay? And I really, really, really am going to try my best to stick to that format. But there are a couple of things tonight that I am going to bitch about, okay? And yes, there is going to be a little bit of profanity used, so ahead of time, just giving you guys a heads up for right now. So, in that case, first things first, what I want to do is a little bit of shameless promoting. First things first, if you haven't already, go check out the Roku free app. Search up Northeast Streaming Sports. You can catch yours truly on Weapons Hot Mission Briefs, Miss Sonia Pearson at Prim and Proper Sports, along with the other plethora of shows that are here within the network. Great stuff. You can not only catch them on Roku, but you could also catch them on YouTube, okay? Another spot that you can see here on Fire TV on Huddle Sports Network, all right? Be sure to go and check us out wherever you can. All right. So with that, now I'm pretty sure this is supposed to get shown. So happy 6th birthday to my son Lawson Snickers. All right. I'm hoping that he is doing well. And happy birthday to him. Matter of fact, there we'll even. Happy birthday to you. All right, there we go. That's about as far as we get. All right. And of course, here we are. Welcome to Prim and Proper Sports. So give me just one moment while I'm trying to share the show. This is the beautiful thing about being the host. Okay. When you don't have a producer, you got to share. You got to do all the stuff. So a lot of times when you watch the video replay and the head's down like this, it's not because we're ignoring you guys. It's because we're trying to do a couple of different things all at once. And also trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically just trying to not only produce, but also share the show to make sure that people get the opportunity to consume it. So it's always it's always very, very challenging. So, there are people out there that are going to want to watch. Sure they will. Hopefully they will. If not, hey, whatever. But, for those of you that will, I appreciate you guys tuning in. And of course, if you guys want to pop anything in the comments, go right ahead, please. You guys have any questions or anything you want me to talk about? There are two main things that I'm going to be talking about tonight. So I'm going to get rid of this banner first. And then next thing that I'm going to do is what I always do. Get a little music going for the vibe. Okay? Now, the couple of things that I'm going to be talking about, especially what's going on. I mean, obviously, last night, the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup. Okay? They defeated the Edmonton Oilers 2-1 in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. So regardless of whatever side of the fence that you were on, whether you were an Oilers fan, a Florida fan, or whatever, you got the opportunity to you got the opportunity to see history. So that being said, That brings me to one of my rants for tonight, and just bear with me. As, you know, I'm thinking about one thing. Okay, I'm actually going to put the banner for this because this is something that I've been listening to all day long. All day long, I've been listening to this on sports radio. Okay, Connor McDavid, the team captain for the Edmonton Oilers, he ended up winning the Conn Smythe Trophy, even though Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup last night. So why is everybody so mad? Now, again, this is going to be the part where if you are sensitive to cursing or anything like that, maybe tonight's not the night for you to view. But I'm going to try to temper it down enough so that way I'm not going to get yelled at by Sonia when she gets back from vacation. But what I don't understand is why people are bitching about Connor McDavid winning the Conn Smythe Trophy. He was by far and away the best player in the NHL playoffs. Now, here is the beauty about the Conn Smythe Trophy, and I'm going to explain this to people because there are not a lot of hockey fans out there. Why? I have no idea. Maybe it's because you can't follow the puck on television. Maybe it's because there's not enough popularity in the sport. Maybe it's because half the guys that take the ice, you have no idea who they are or where they're from or what their background is or whatever. Okay? I'm here to tell you tonight that's a bunch of horse shit. Okay? Because if you did not watch Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals last night, regardless whether you are a fan or not, if you are a casual sports fan and you knew the amount of hype that was going into this game, you probably would have tuned in, even if just for a couple of minutes, just to see what all the hubbub was all about. And last night, in my opinion, was if you were a casual hockey fan, to see a game played like that, with the passion, with the intensity, with as much at stake as there could be. There were no bigger stakes that could be done, that could be done in that. You were playing for the right to be called the NHL World Champions, to have your names engraved on one of the most prestigious trophies in professional sports, the Stanley Cup. Okay? And I don't care. Don't give me the Lombardi Trophy. Don't give me MLB's trophy. Don't give me the NBA championship. Don't give me any of that bullshit. I'm sorry. Hands down, far and away, the Stanley Cup is probably the hardest championship to win in professional sports. Period. I will put the NHL up against any of the major sports. Hands down. Now, the beauty of the Conn Smythe Trophy, and this was the point that I wanted to make sure that I made, okay? The beauty of the Conn Smythe Trophy is it is not just who is the finals MVP like the NBA does. Okay? There are not any voters that are going to sit there and talk about this player or that player or who's the best player wherever. There's none of that. None. The Conn Smythe Trophy is for the most valuable player to their team in the playoffs, from start to finish. Okay? Connor McDavid, far and away, was the most valuable player in the playoffs for the 2024 playoffs. Hands down. Okay? You could make an argument for Sergei Bobrovsky. Let me get that out of the way because I'm sure that there are people out there, Florida Panther fans included, that are probably all butthurt because they thought that Bob should have gone. And as a matter of fact, it wanted to make me vomit today just for the amount of how I had to listen to on sports radio. Oh, I think Sergei Bobrovsky should have gone. For the people who think that, yes, you have a legitimate argument, but you are so tone deaf to the overall stats as to what exactly goes into the Conn Smythe Trophy, and stop comparing the NHL to the NBA or to Major League Baseball or to the National Football League, because they are nothing alike. Nothing. The Conn Smythe Trophy, as I explained before, very plain, very simply put, it is a culmination of the most valuable player from the start of the playoffs to the end of the playoffs. Doesn't matter if your team wins the Stanley Cup or not. And sure, you want to make an argument for Sergei Bobrovsky, fine, you can do it. I will not take that away from you. But you want to know something? You know the player who's better than Sergei Bobrovsky? Connor McDavid. That's who was better than Sergei Bobrovsky. And I'll even give you more fuel for the fire, okay? Let's talk about Sergei Bobrovsky versus Stuart Skinner, okay? And all of these stats are courtesy of NHL Edge, and I thank whoever it is who put this together because this was a godsend, all right? Sergei Bobrovsky's record in the playoffs, 16-8, with a goals against average of 2.32, a save percentage of 0.906 in 24 games played. Stuart Skinner, with a record of 14-9, with a goals against average of 2.45, with a save percentage of 0.901 in 23 games played. Okay? If you want to sit there and you want to give the edge to anybody, you could give the edge to Bobrovsky in goals against average. But overall save percentage at mid-range save percentage, mid-range high, there's high danger, which is 0.843 for Sergei Bobrovsky, 0.809 for Stuart Skinner, and then your mid-range, which was 0.838, and then where Stuart Skinner had the edge for 0.884. Okay? If you go and take a look at the stats, it's like splitting hairs. Okay? But here's the thing. Connor McDavid actually went out and beat Wayne Gretzky's playoff record, a record that has stood for over 40 years. Okay? And sure, you probably say, well, Gretzky played in a different time. Yeah, that's true. They were scoring. They were scoring. They were scoring goals and buckets in the 80s and the early 90s before defenses started tightening up. So, you know, for me, one of the things that kind of made me aggravated about this was the fact that Connor McDavid, who carried his team through two playoff series in which you had to play a Game 7 to advance, okay, and then push the Stanley Cup Finals to a Game 7. Why we're even having this conversation is completely ridiculous. Because if that's the case, and we're having this conversation, you know who else we should be throwing in this conversation? How about Igor Shesterkin, goaltender for the New York Rangers? Okay? How about Vancouver's goaltender? How about Quinn Hughes? How about JT Miller? Why aren't they into the conversation? if you're going to sit there and say, well, because Sergei Bobrovsky and the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup, it's only right that he should get the Conn Smythe Trophy, that is a completely asinine argument. And from somebody who's watched the Stanley Cup playoffs from start to finish, yes, it's an asinine argument. Keep in mind that Bobrovsky gave up 18 goals in 2 games. In 3 games almost. Okay? One of the games he got hooked. So, I mean, you got to think about it. Okay? You really do. For the people that have a problem with this, you're entitled to your opinion. And you know what? I respect your opinion, but I respectfully disagree with your opinion. And I think the NHL got it right. Okay? Even PK Subban last night on ESPN, on the NHL on ESPN, okay, walked back his comments that he felt like Bobrovsky should have got it. But Messier set him straight. Hands down, regardless whether Edmonton wins or loses, Connor McDavid should get the Conn Smythe. And that's exactly what happened. So, if you're a Florida Panthers fan and you're mad because Sergei Bobrovsky didn't win the Conn Smythe Trophy, shut up. Your team just won the Stanley Cup. Be happy about that. And you guys are lucky that you even won that game because not for anything, Ekholm ended up scoring the goal right underneath freaking Sam Bennett thanks to a quick whistle. Go back and watch the replay. So, enough. Connor McDavid deserves this award. Give him his little bit of consolation. It's bad enough that he can't even enjoy winning this because Edmonton lost the Stanley Cup. And I guarantee you that he would trade that Conn Smythe Trophy in a heartbeat to be able to hoist that Stanley Cup. Think about that. All right. So that's all that I'm going to talk about that. And now I'm actually going to go to the next part of the show. Major League Baseball has done it again. And I almost wish that I had Keith Engel here to kind of, I don't know if I could say talk some sense into me when it comes to baseball as far of it, because the only reason I'm even talking about this is because of the subject that's been brought up so much over and over and over again. And you know what? Over the past couple of days, and even my mom, who's a diehard Mets fan, God rest her soul. If she was here watching this broadcast right now, I'm sure she would find a way to put in the comments, Yankees suck. All right? I love you, Mom. I miss you every day. Edwin Diaz, closer for the New York Mets, okay, ended up getting caught with some sort of sticky substance on his hands, okay? They checked him. They didn't tell him to go wash his hands, nothing. They just kicked his ass out. And now he's suspended for 10 games, okay? Now, I've heard a lot of talk about this, okay, on sports radio. I've heard a lot of different debates about this, going back and forth. This was a justifiable suspension. This wasn't a justifiable suspension. Blah, 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 blah. What's going on, Huddle Sports Network? Appreciate you guys coming on. Real quick. We love you. Miss Sonia over there, wherever she's at her top secret bunker, I hope you're having fun. And I'm glad you got to your destination safely. All right, so with that, again, let me continue on with this, okay? Because it drives me absolutely back. Absolutely back. Okay? Edwin Diaz gets a 10-game suspension for the sticky substance on his hands. Have Major League Baseball umpires gone too far with this rule? I say yes. Do you know why? Because even in the MLB rule book, there is still no definitive rule about what defines a sticky substance or not. Okay? And personally, for me, I think that with the fact that pitchers are getting stronger, the balls are getting smaller, every 2 years, Major League Baseball does something to the baseballs. I have no idea what, but it's like they're trying to do something in order to increase offense or whatever, and I just think that it's absolutely stupid. There was nothing wrong with the baseball the way that they had it. You should have left it alone. And now you have guys that have to use stuff on their hands to grip it, to be able to control it, because you have guys being capable of being able to throw 98, 99, 100, 102 miles an hour. Do you think that's going to be a good feeling if somebody loses control of that ball and they hit somebody in the head? Has anyone bothered to think about it? No, I don't think anybody got that far. For me, as far as I'm concerned, if the sticky substance gives no competitive advantage except to just grip the ball, okay? Like in the early 80s, there was pine tar. All right? Everybody used to piss, bitch, and moan about pine tar. All right. Then there was, Joe Negro taking a nail file. He had a nail file in his back pocket that he would go and scuff up the ball or whatever. They had another dude who used to put snot on the ball. All right. And I know that actually somebody did do that. And it was referenced in Major League. Okay. So to me, it's like, unless you're going to gain some sort of a competitive advantage from it, then you need to be able to have control of that ball. Just like with a bat, okay? You need to be able to have control of that bat. Because if you go and swing and that bat takes off and it hits somebody, you know what's going to happen? You're going to seriously injure somebody. That's why now there's all netting, okay? Behind home plate, all down the first baseline, down the third baseline, or whatever. All in that immediate infield area, there's netting. And the reason being is because you got foul balls coming back. You don't know what direction they're going. You don't know how fast they're going. These guys are throwing 95, 96, 97, 98 miles an hour. But that's not really the biggest issue that I have with this, okay? The issue that I have with this is because of the fact that umpires can make are left to make a judgment call, okay? Now, the judgment call is pull the guy off the mound, tell him to go wash his hands and come back. You're already making a pitching change. There's already a delay. What's another 20 to 30 seconds? What's another minute? What's another 2 minutes? It's not a big deal. Something that can happen right away. Okay? Just get it over with. All right? If the guy says no, or he's making it blatant that he doesn't want to he doesn't want to wash his hands, or he thinks that there's nothing wrong or whatever, or he's trying to hide it, then I could understand bouncing the game. Then I could understand bouncing the guy. But then when you go and take a look at the whole sequence, it's like Edwin Diaz, like he knew that he was caught. He knew he was doing something against the rules. So to me, watching that whole sequence, the ump should have just sent him to go wash his hands, tell him to get his ass back, check it again, and then decide whether you're going to let him play or not. So to me, I think that because every umpire is different, every umpire is going to look for something. They are going to look for something to put their stamp on this game. Okay? And most of all, you got the umpires that they want their names in the spotlight. But to me, the umpire should only be seen and not heard. Because every time an umpire is heard from, there's always some sort of screw up. That always ends up happening. All right. The reason being why I don't find this a big deal with him having any kind of foreign sticky substance on is because of the fact that every couple of years, Major League Baseball is changing the way the baseball is made. Either it's the composite cover, either it's the size of the baseball, either it's the weight of the baseball, either it's whatever. So, to me, knowing how fast guys can throw this ball, these guys should be able to use whatever the hell they need to hold on to that ball, as long as it's not going to give you a competitive advantage. Because baseball's already got the black eye with PEDs, and now for something as trivial as this, now we're gonna overcommit, and we're gonna put the decision in the hands of the umpires. That is bullshit. The reason why it's bullshit is because when you have an umpire who is going to look for something, they are going to manufacture something to pick at. Now, am I saying the umpire manufactured this? No. Edwin Diaz did this all on his own. Whatever he gets, he's got coming for it. The only issue that I had with Diaz was that if he felt he did nothing wrong and all he had on it was dirt and sweat or whatever, should have put up more of a fight. Instead, he walked off the mound with his tail between his legs and he didn't say squat. And I'm sorry, but if that were me, if I'm going to get ejected, I'm going to get ejected because I'm going to curse out that ump. That's why I'm going to get ejected. So, with that, I really think that this is a rule that Major League Baseball needs to rethink. Or they basically need to make clear-cut guidelines and have a list. Okay, just like they do with PEDs, okay, just like they do with any other bullshit that they have. You can't use this, you can't use that. It has to be a certain weight, it has to be a certain length. You can't do this, you can't do the other thing. So, when you go to the bathroom, you can only use two pieces of toilet paper instead of 3. You know, it's ridiculous. All right, so they need to make it definitive. So that way, this is the letter of the law. This is what the umpires need to go through and not make it a judgment call. Okay? Now, I'm going to compare this situation and the umpire going after Diaz and so on with, with the fact that, now, shout out to Keith Engel. I appreciate you checking me out. I'm sure you're gonna have a lot to hear about my little baseball rant when I talk about it. So I just think that, like I said before, as long as it's not going to give you any kind of competitive advantage, then you should be able to use whatever it is that you need to grip that ball to make sure that you can safely throw it. Okay, sort of like Garrett Cole and Spider Tap. Okay, and he flat out said it. The balls are slick. In the summertime, your hands sweat. You need something to hold on to the ball, otherwise the ball's going to go all over the place. And again, this is because of the fact that baseball keeps changing the balls or changing the composite makeup of the ball. So, to me, out of the interest of not getting somebody killed, let them use whatever the hell they want, as long as it's not going to give them a competitive advantage. Or, if you're going to outlaw this stuff, then it needs to be definitive. There needs to be a letter of the law. There needs to be a list of stuff that they are not allowed to use. And that's it. And you violate that list, then you get your ejection, you get your 10-game suspension, you take your lumps, and that's it. Here, the way that this is, and the reason why this is getting so much attention, is because of the fact that it's so subjective to interpretation. Where the ump comes out and says, well, I've seen some sticky stuff before, and this was the stickiest stuff I've ever seen. Was that before or after you went in the bathroom to go smoke a joint? I mean, if you're going to have a definitive answer like that, then you need to back it up. What was it? So, anyhow, that's my baseball rant. I really just, there just sometimes Major League Baseball just drives me absolutely nuts. So, now with that, we're already at the halfway point of the show. So, now we're going to talk a little NHL, okay? I want to circle back to the Connor McDavid thing for just a second. Connor McDavid now joins a very dubious panel of Conn Smythe Trophy winners on teams that lost in the Stanley Cup Final. Starting in 2003, Jean-Sébastien Giguère, he was a goalie for the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Ron Hextall, goalie for the Philadelphia Flyers. Reggie Leach in 1976 for the Philadelphia Flyers. Glenn Hall, the St. Louis Blues in 1968. And rounding out the list, Roger Crozier of the Detroit Red Wings in 1966. Okay? So, if you really, really want to talk about something that is just like absolutely mind-boggling, okay? This is where Connor McDavid now joins company that hopefully will be enough that Edmonton will actually try to add some more pieces next year to get them back to the Stanley Cup Final. Miss Neldra Allen, hello. I'm just here listening to sports stuff, invited by Sonia Pearson. Thank you so much for joining the show. If you have a question or a comment or anything you want me to address, please, by all means, drop it in the comments. Anybody who's out there listening, anybody who's out there watching, if you want to drop a comment, by all means, go ahead and do so. I'll get it on the air. We got another 20-something minutes here for me to talk about a bunch of different stuff. Now, you guys already know I'm a New York Jets fan. Sonia and the panel from Northeast Streaming Sports, they always give me static because of my long-suffering years as a New York Jets fan. If you haven't checked out the latest edition of Weapons Hot Mission Briefs, I went on a pretty lengthy rant about Aaron Rodgers not showing up to mandatory minicamp and Hassan Reddick holding out and all the other garbage. I invite you guys to go and check it out. I'm not going to rehash any of that tonight because a lot of it is profanity-laced, and I'm not going to do that to Sonya. I got enough respect that I'll hold off on that. But I did want to talk a little bit of NHL, so let's go on ahead. Couple trades already that have happened, which is very, very interesting. All right. Now, matter of fact, what happened today, the San Jose Sharks acquired Jake Wallman at a second-round pick in the 2024 NHL Draft from the Detroit Red Wings for future considerations. Another trade that went down today, Predators acquired defenseman Andrew Gibson from the Detroit Red Wings for forward Jesse Klinskin, or actually Kliskinen, and a second-round pick in the 2024 NHL Draft. Yesterday, which was June 24th, Senators acquired goalie Linus Ullmark from the Boston Bruins for goaltender Jonas Korpisalo, forward Matt Kostelic, and a first-round pick in the 2024 NHL Draft. Now, here's the thing about Linus Ullmark being traded to the Senators. That immediately upgrades that position because the Senators have had problems at goaltender for the past couple of years. Now they have a pretty young core. Now, if they can get a couple more pieces, the Ottawa Senators are going to be one of those pain-in-the-ass teams next year that nobody's going to want to play. So, we still need to think about they still have a little bit of work to do. So, should be interesting to see how the rest of the NHL offseason is going to play out. Now, June 23rd, San Jose Sharks, they've been pretty busy. They acquired forward Igor Afanasyev from the Nashville Predators for forward Ozzy Weisblatt. On the 21st, the New Jersey Devils acquired forward Adam Beckman from the Minnesota Wild for forward Graham Clark. Now, June 19th, the Capitals acquire forward Pierre-Luc Dubois from the Los Angeles Kings for goalie Darcy Kemper. That's actually a pretty solid trade, and again, probably a good deal for both of them. Okay, now again, keeping up with the rest of the trades, the Dallas Stars acquired a 4th-round pick in the 2025 NHL Draft from the San Jose Sharks for forward Ty Dellandrea. The New Jersey Devils acquired goalie Jacob Markstrom from the Calgary Flames for defenseman Kevin Ball and a 1st-round pick in the 2025 draft. Now, one of the things about the New Jersey Devils, last year they had tremendous goaltender issues. They were a team who the following year, after beating the Rangers in the 1st round, were expected to challenge for the Metropolitan Division this year. They were supposed to be the Rangers and the Carolina Hurricanes' main competition. It did not go as planned, obviously, because Dougie Hamilton being out for the rest of the year, goaltending issues between Vitek Vanacek and also Akira Schmidt led to them now having to go to a third-string goaltender, which in turn they ended up having to ride out. So they pretty much had a revolving door behind the pipes last year. So should be interesting to see how that in what shape or who is going to show up for training camp come September when everything opens up. Now, the Chicago Blackhawks acquired a 1st-round, 2nd-round pick in the 2024 NHL Draft from the New York Islanders for a 1st-round pick and 2 2nd-round picks in the 2024 NHL Draft. Looks like there's just a swap of picks going on right there. So now, May 21st. Now, Tampa Bay Lightning acquired defenseman Ryan McDonagh and a 4th-round pick in the NHL Draft, in this year's NHL Draft from the Nashville Predators for a 7th-round pick in the 2024 Draft and a 2nd-round pick in the 2025 Draft. So, and Scott Gillespie, who just messaged me on Instant Messenger. This is not my platform, dude. It's not my platform, so I don't know why you can't post. So, call me chicken shit again. I'm going to find out where you live and punch you in the face. Plain and simple. So, I'm sure you'll say something after that. But anyhow, as we keep going with the trade tracker, pretty much the last of the beginning of the offseason trades began with the Tampa Bay Lightning acquiring Ryan McDonagh. So now, here's another interesting article from NHL.com, which was just it made me think a little bit. Made me think. Okay. Now, from NHL and NHL.com, I invite you guys to go and definitely check out the article, Most Impactful NHL Trade Deadline Acquisition Debated. You had Jake Gensel in that conversation, Monahan in that conversation, Tanev in that conversation, Michael Bunting. Let's see. Yeah, we talked about Noah Hannafin, Casey Middlestat. By the way, Casey Middlestat re-upped with the Colorado Avalanche, so that's going to be his new home. So, Sean Monahan, acquired by the Winnipeg Jets, and of course Chris Tanev from the Dallas Stars. So that's that. So again, see this, Scott? Miss Neldra posted just fine. That's because it's just operator error. Either that or Sonia really just doesn't like you, so that's probably why she's not letting you post. But anyhow, so we got another couple of things here. We got another few minutes. Now that the NBA season is over, okay? Now that the NHL season is finally over, now we can actually reflect, and this is where the giant spotlight now gets focused on baseball and either the lack of interest thereof. Okay, but a lot of people still talk about this is the dead period in the NFL. Now, within the dead period of the NFL, this is where players are left to their own devices. Okay, this is where you hope that nobody comes to training camp and gets hurt. Nobody comes to training camp facing any type of legal issues. And believe it or not, you've already had a couple of people who've gotten let go because of arrests and legal issues. New York Jets let go of a cornerback. I think the Kansas City Chiefs actually got rid of a defensive lineman or something. And I know a couple other people lost their contracts, or basically got released. So this is the time where, Scott's texting me again. So let's see what this knucklehead is. If you're scared, just say you're scared. Dude, I ain't scared of you. Like I said, if you're not able to post, that's your problem. So why don't you subscribe to the page? So maybe they'll let you post then. So anyhow, this is the time where you hope that all of the players wrap themselves in bubble wrap and they do whatever it is that they need to do to keep themselves out of trouble, to keep themselves healthy, to keep themselves safe. So that way, when you arrive for training camp, your all systems go and you're ready to start the 2024-25 campaign for the NFL season. And especially with the way that this season is shaping up to be, with the New York Jets facing San Francisco 49ers on Monday Night Football. My comments about the Jets playing three games in 10, 11 days. Pretty much well documented. So, going to be interesting to see exactly how the NFL is going to start their promotion. And of course, preseason always starts with the Hall of Fame game. So even though it's absolutely meaningless football, it's still good to see some football anyhow. So with that, you basically, if you're a fan, especially Carolina going through their rebuild, all right, Sonya talks about it all the time. I talk about the Jets all the time, where I'm wondering which New York Jets are actually going to show up. Will the New York Jets actually make it to the playoffs this year with the non-pseudo playoff mandate that's put down? My thought themselves is, I already told you guys, if the Jets don't make the playoffs, I think they blow everything up. I really don't. I don't see anybody surviving it if they don't make the playoffs. So who the hell knows? But we did see some nice surprises in the NFL, such as head coach DeMeco Ryans and the Houston Texans. Okay, C.J. Stroud having his coming out party, actually winning a playoff game. All right. We still learned that the Kansas City Chiefs are the Kansas City Chiefs, no matter how cold it is outside. We also learned that the Miami Dolphins still have identity issues because they don't know what kind of football team they want to be, whether they want to be a run-first football team, whether they want to be a pass-first football team. Curious to see what the Buffalo Bills are going to look like with the mass exodus that they had because they had to shed cap space. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what it is that's going to transpire. So with that, it's if you're an NFL fan right now, you're holding your breath and you're counting the days. So you're counting the days to training camp. I know Zach Wilson was not the best quarterback that the Jets ever drafted. You're an idiot for even saying such a thing, and you should be banned from every social media platform and every show known to man, just for even uttering the word Zach Wilson. So, but anyhow, as an NFL fan right now, you're holding your breath. You're looking forward to training camp, but you're also hoping that nobody on your team gets hurt. Nobody on your squad gets hurt. At the NBA, tonight's the NBA draft. So if you're a basketball fan, you're looking to see, you already know what your team is picking. You're looking to see who they're going to select. That should be interesting enough. So for me, I don't really follow basketball, so I can't really comment on the NBA as much as Sonya would, as much as J-Train would, as much as Mac would, So for me, my love's football, hockey. That's where it's at. That's where it's at for me. The close third is baseball, but I really only watch baseball probably like the middle of August is when I started really tuning in to pay attention. So baseball season is just way too long for me. So I notice the older I'm getting, the easier it is for me to lose interest in things. So with that, now we pretty much talked about everything that I would like to talk about. Really, the biggest things were just the two topics that I talked about at the beginning of the show. So I'm going to wrap it up with this. So we'll wrap up the show a little bit early. So if you're a sports fan, no matter what fan you root for, no matter what sport you root for, okay? Be passionate about your team. There's nothing wrong with being passionate. There's nothing wrong with giving your opinion. There's nothing wrong with wearing your fandom on your sleeve. Okay? There really isn't. Embrace that passion. Bathe in it. Love it. Because when you're passionate about something, it's because you care. It's because it's a love. It's because you are in love with this sport or you are in love with this team. Okay? Like for me, the New York Jets, the New York Rangers, the New York Yankees. So, that being said, if you're passionate about your team, show it. Doesn't matter how bad they suck. Don't be a bandwagon fan. Put your passion out there. But if you have someone who disagrees with you, don't get butthurt. Try to have an open mind. Why? Because everybody is different. And for me, now mind you, I'm only speaking for myself. I like both sides of the coin. I want to hear both sides of the coin. because then I get the whole picture, not a half. Because everyone can have an opinion, but sometimes even if your opinion is the opposite of my opinion, or your opinion is the polar opposite of somebody else's, then you just do what you got to do. You agree. You try to find a middle ground. That's it. But here's the thing that I really want to say. If you're going to take to social media and you're going to act like an idiot, then you deserve everything that comes to you. Because if you're going to put it out there in the ether, okay, you got to take all the slings and arrows that go along with it. Just like people who do podcasts like this one. We put our opinions out there as sports fans, try to have an objective view without being which borderlines being homeristic. Okay? But you want to be as honest as possible. Okay? Just like my show. I am as 100% honest about the New York Jets as I possibly can be. Because my team sucks. They've sucked for a very long time. Okay? I'm not going to sit up here and I'm not going to blow sunshine up anybody's ass and say, yeah, my team's going to win the Super Bowl next year. I'm not that kind of guy. I've never been that kind of fan. I used to be that kind of fan, where every year it was pie in the sky. But then when you start rooting for a team for years upon years upon years, and you see their internal flaws year after year after year, and they do absolutely nothing to address them, and it becomes so incredibly frustrating. You kind of, you're a fan, but you're not going to be that jaded fan. You're going to be a little bit more of a realistic fan. But however, realistic fans are people that walk right down the middle. You're going to praise them when they do good. You're going to kill them when they do bad. But then you have your fans of this team that are just, they love to be miserable. And they're just always going to look for the negative. They're always going to look for the glass half empty scenario. Don't be that fan. Even if you hit the middle, even if you're on this side, be the kind of fan that you want to be. But the one thing is, think about what you put on social media. Think about it. Because once you put it out there, you can't take it back. Once it's said, you can't take it back. So, and of course, if you're going to go to social media and you're going to put your opinion out there, be prepared to take the slings and arrows. Comes along with the territory, kids. All right? That's what it's all about, being a fan. Put your opinion out there, your point of view. See if you have people who agree with you or don't agree with you. That's all there is to it. But have an open mind. So with that, I'm going to wrap up Prim and Proper Sports tonight because I think I've infected Sonia's airwaves enough. My name is CJ, the Painkiller D. Simone, and I'd like to thank everybody who tuned in tonight, who watched everything again. A little shameless plug here. Go to Roku, download the free Roku app, search up Northeast Streaming Sports. Be sure to go and check us out. Shout out to the Huddle Sports Network on Fire TV. You can check out our shows there. We have an entire lineup of shows that no matter what you're into, you're going to find something. So be sure to come and check us out. And real quick, happy 6th birthday to Lawson Snickers. With that, I'm signing off. This is CJ the Painkiller D. Simone. This has been Prim and Proper Sports on Northeast Streaming Sports. Thank you guys for tuning in. And we'll see you guys when we see you guys.